Hi, Scary Recaps here. Today, I'm going to explain the movie Nope from 2022. Beware of spoilers. A TV show turns into a bloodbath when the protagonist, a trained chimpanzee, gets scared by a popping balloon and attacks his human co-stars. At a ranch in Aqua Dulce, Otis Haywood and his son, OJ, train horses. One sunny day, an unusual power surge, followed by an even more strange hail, seriously injures Otis. OJ takes him to the hospital, but it is too late. The x-rays reveal that a nickel has pierced Otis's head and ultimately caused his death. OJ returns to the ranch and notices that a key is sticking out of Ghost, his father's horse. Sometime later, during a commercial shoot in Hollywood, OJ is feeling like a fish out of water, waiting for his sister, M, to come and make arrangements. M arrives shortly and introduces her family business, Hollywood Haywood Horses, as one of the greatest in history, mentioning also that the jockey appearing in the first ever motion pictures in cinematic history was their great-great-grandfather. As the crew prepares to film the commercial, the horse OJ handles, named Lucky, gets startled as he sees his reflection on a small mirror and bucks. The director, Antlers Holst, is forced then to call off the shoot, ending in OJ and M's dismissal from the production. As OJ and M have inherited their father's ranch, it falls on them to run it and make ends meet. OJ tries his best to continue his father's legacy and keep the ranch running orderly, while M aspires to become famous in Hollywood. OJ meets Jupe, who is in charge of a western theme park called Jupiter's Claim, for a business meeting. M, who attends this meeting, keeps interrupting them as she browses all the miraculous stuff in Jupe's office. Jupe lets them into a secret room which is like a small museum of the show industry. As M has recognized Jupe from the elevated show, Gordy's Home, Jupe recollects the tragic moments of when Gordy, the chimpanzee, lost it and killed the actors, with Jupe being the only survivor. Soon afterwards, OJ and M return to their ranch house and hang out drinking and reminiscing about their common memories with their father. As they talk, M notices that Ghost is in the arena all alone. OJ goes to him and M decides to turn on the music and enjoy herself a little. But something spooks Ghost, who jumps out of the arena and runs away. OJ looks out for him and hears him whining in a terrifying manner just before a power surge occurs again. Back at the house, OJ confides in his sister, telling her that their father wasn't killed by TFOA, things falling off aircraft, but instead implies that a UFO was responsible for his death. M gets excited hearing about this and sees an opportunity of reaching fame and making money. The next day, M and OJ purchase a new surveillance system in order to catch the aliens in action. Angel, the electronics store employee, sets up the cameras, and M puts a wooden horse as a supposed decoy for horse training, but it is in fact bait for the UFO. That night, OJ hears noises from the stables and goes to investigate. For a few moments he is terrified as he believes he is witnessing two actual aliens observing him. OJ attempts to capture one on video when suddenly he is surprised by a third one and instinctively punches it, only to realize that he has fallen victim of a prank by children who work with Jupe. As the night progresses, Angel, who secretly looks at the ranch monitors, calls M and tells her that camera B is down. OJ finds Ghost, but as he returns him to the ranch, the horse gets scared once again and darts away. OJ and M notice that the UFO is hiding in the clouds. OJ runs for cover, and M climbs to the roof to rid the camera of a praying mantis in order to record the UFO. OJ watches in dread as Ghost is pulled upwards by the UFO and vanishes in horrifying screams. In the morning, M calls Antlers and offers for him to come down to Aqua Dulce and film a unique documentary without, however, revealing anything about the aliens. Antlers declines and hangs up the phone. Angel then comes and shows the two siblings a suspicious cloud that doesn't move at all. It is the UFO, but not actual proof according to Angel. In the next sequence, it is 1998, and in the famous TV show Gordy's Home, the viewers witness how Gordy went berserk and killed 3 actors. Jupe was the only one of the cast who survived by hiding under a table. Yet, Gordy found Jupe and approached him for a fist bump before being shot dead by the police. Back to the present, Jupe presents a live show in Jupiter's Claim telling the audience that a flying saucer will be revealed to them shortly. Lucky, one of the horses OJ has sold to Jupe, is going to be used as bait for the aliens. As Jupe talks, the UFO arrives earlier than expected. It hovers above the theater and vacuums all the human spectators. Inside its otherworldly bowels, the victims are slowly digested. OJ arrives at the theme park and finds it deserted. He sees only Lucky standing in his glass box and calls him out. The flying saucer then comes, and OJ is knocked out by its pull. When OJ regains consciousness, he manages to retrieve Lucky and leave Jupiter's claim. On his way to the ranch, he calls M and tells her that the flying saucer is a living being, an extraterrestrial, territorial, horrible monster that has eaten all of the spectators in Jupe's show. Soon afterwards, the entity soars above the ranch house and lets out a river of blood from its digested victims, as well as some of their untasteful belongings. M and Angel freak out, and OJ's car stops a few yards away from the house as the electromagnetic pulse that the entity emits renders every electronic device useless. OJ dares to not leave the car and spends the night inside. In the morning, OJ remembers the incident from the commercial and deduces that if he won't look directly at the entity, he will not be eaten. His assumption proves to be correct, and, along with Angel and M, he drives away. That night, the trio stays in town, away from danger, and assesses the situation. OJ says that he has to go back to feed the horses, but M and Angel are too terrified to even consider such a possibility. M, however, receives a text message from Antlers, and eventually they all agree to return to the ranch. Once there, they meet Antlers, and together they form a plan of recording the entity, or, as OJ calls it, the jean jacket. The following night, the four of them have a quiet and peaceful dinner before action takes place. At sunrise, everything is set and ready. Antlers is using a non-electrical camera with Angel as his assistant. OJ rides with Lucky to lure Jean Jacket, and M is watching the sky. Suddenly, an unknown biker in black comes to the ranch. M talks to him and tells him to leave, but the strange man, who proves to be a journalist, speeds towards the static cloud. As the biker runs into the anti-electric field of Jean Jacket, he falls off spectacularly. OJ goes to help him, but as soon as Jean Jacket appears, he turns tail and runs. The biker is shortly vacuumed up and eaten alive. OJ keeps his eyes down and lures Jean Jacket away. Antlers succeeds in recording the peculiar entity and has a revelation. He says that they don't deserve the impossible and ascends a ridge where Jean Jacket pulls him up and eats him. Angel avoids the pulling force twice as he finds himself wrapped up in a tarp and barbed wire. M also manages to avoid being eaten and runs to the paparazzo's bike. Jean Jacket, frustrated by the failed attempts, starts then to transform into a jellyfish-like creature. OJ rides Lucky again and makes Jean Jacket follow him, giving M enough time and space to escape the ranch with the bike. M runs and reaches Jupiter's claim, where she releases a large mascot balloon to tempt Jean Jacket. She picks up a handful of coins from the ground and uses them on a winding well to take a photograph of the extraterrestrial entity. Jean Jacket goes after the balloon and devours it whole, but the balloon, too large for its stomach, pops and shatters the entity from within. M cheers and is overwhelmed with joy when she sees her brother, OJ, atop Lucky, standing outside Jupiter's claim. The last scene reveals that the last shot M has taken is successful, as it clearly shows the entity in the sky.